it's Jess. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel / podcast where I discuss all things style, wellness, pop culture, and whatever else comes up from week to week. I am back. I am on time. I am on schedule. Shouts out to one of my favorite movies from the 90s, Strictly Business, which taught me how to pronounce that word in the most pretentious and annoying way possible. I'm back. I'm on time. I'm on track to meet my content goals, okay? And it's almost March. So I'm giving myself a huge pat on the back that we are cruising through this first quarter of absolute world destruction, but at least I'm doing what I said I was going to do. At least I'm on time for myself and for y'all. So shouts out to us, okay? This can count as your self-care if you wanted to. I'm not a licensed professional, but I am going to say that listening to my podcast and engaging with my content probably is helping your mental health in some way. Those claims have not been verified by anybody but me, you, and that's all that matter, okay? So let's kick this week's episode off with a fashion tip. I routinely, okay, revisit music videos of my youth. I am routinely listening to the R&B of my youth, the rap of my youth. As of late, I've been revisiting Black, okay? Boom Like an 808, all of that stuff. So I was looking at one of their older videos and reminded of the Afrofuturism of the early 2000s. This girl, there was a white girl on TikTok not too long ago that was posting pictures of these hairstyles, and she's like, what do you call this aesthetic? I'm looking for more examples of this, but I don't know what you call it. And of course, all the Black girls were like, you just need to look at a Black hair magazine from like the early aughts. Like that's what all the girls were doing. And people were like, no, this is cyberpunk. This is blah, 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 blah. And I am an aspiring fashion historian, but everything for me starts with Black. It starts with Black girls. So for me, it was always like, it was the TLC and the Black and the Missy Elliott. Like there were so many Black artists of the early 2000s and the late 90s that did a lot with the Afrofuturism look. And I'm looking at Black's video for Bring It All to Me, and the outfits still eat down. So I want to encourage you guys to, if there was any particular style that really jumped out at you when you were growing up, revisit it. See if there's any kind of way that you can introduce that into your present style. Like it would do something for your inner child, for your inner teen. You know, they need a little love and attention. So I say this cautiously because the early 2000s, in a lot of ways, there were some tragic things happening in fashion. So I am not telling you to go out and get a pair of low-rise jeans with the crack of your ass showing. I'm not telling you to do that. Now, if that's where your fashion journey takes you, then I support you from way over here, from afar, right? But I do think that there are some ways to incorporate the things that we grew up loving into our adulthood, especially because fashion is so cyclical and everything is making a comeback. I mean, look at Kendrick Lamar's flare legs. Real bad bitches know that back in the day, you would walk in your mama's house with your flare legs absolutely disgusting at the bottom because you might have worn them with some white Air Force Ones instead of a heel. You know, I've been wearing heels since I was born, right? But I did occasionally pair my boot cut Echo jeans with a fresh white pair of Air Force Ones. And did they immediately get scuffed up from the blue dye? Absolutely. Was my mom absolutely irritated with me that I would swear I needed a new pair? 100%. Okay, but we've grown beyond that. I'm just saying that if you came up in the era where maybe in your youth, tall tees were like the thing, why not explore some different kinds of white t-shirts that you might enjoy as an adult? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? There are ways to incorporate the things you grew up loving into adulthood in a way that makes sense. And here's what, maybe it don't make sense, but we're on our journey. We're on our journey. We're figuring it out, right? Just one step at a time, okay? So that's the fashion tip for this week. We have several pop culture, TikTok drama situations to discuss. I do have a fly out fail story time of my own, so stay tuned for that and do not judge me. This is supposed to be a safe space for everybody, including me. Okay, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, before we get started, I just want to express to you guys a couple of things that have absolutely pissed me off the past couple of weeks, that have been pissing me off, but that I just remembered to discuss with you. So before we have our come to Jesus moment, I just want to say I am really fed up with companies digitally love bombing me. Um, First of all, when I go to your website, I don't appreciate all the pop-ups of 10% offer, and then if it's 10% off offer, and then if I don't want your 10%, the decline option is so snarky. Instead of it just being like a X, it's no thanks. I don't want to save any money today. You might as well call me a bitch. Like, I don't even know you like that. Why you coming at me like that? I don't want to give you my email address. It's like, why are websites so thirsty to get your personal information? I didn't come in here wanting a marriage. I came in here wanting a one night stand. You see what I'm saying? So like, my sister influenced me to purchase a new work bag that I'm absolutely in love with. I love it. It's gorgeous. We love her down, right? When I went to order it, I just kept getting bombarded with these offers. And I'm like, no. Then I finally placed the order, right? And they emailed me every single day. Hey girl, we got your order. Hey girl, we got your order and welcome to the family. Hey girl, we got your order, welcome to the family. Here's what else you should buy. And it was every day. It wasn't just updates on my order. It's also trying to, like, I feel like you're trying to pull me into a cult. And I watched too many documentaries about cults, so I'm very cautious of that. So now it's like, once I receive my things, I'm blocking you. I'm ghosting these websites. I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I don't want to join your members only things. I don't want to do that. I want to get in and I want to get out. Don't try to pull me into a 360 deal. Let's cut it out, people. Who's asking for that? It's no thanks. I don't want 20% off because I'm the type of bitch who doesn't want money, who abandons her kids, who did I? It's like they get so personal with the decline, and it's just like, bitch, who you talking to? I don't want the 10% off. Okay, you don't know me. I might have a 10% spend. I don't, but still. The other thing is, I had the pleasure of going to see one of my close friends for the past like 6 months. She's been training really hard for this belly dance recital. So I was so excited to go and see her. And I hate musicals. I hate musicals in a deep and profound way. I cannot stand a musical. I feel like I said this several times before, but y'all need to know this about me. I don't like musicals, but I do enjoy a play or a nice recital, right? I sometimes enjoy a live podcast. I'm gonna tell you what I don't like. People in the audience who want to be part of the show. And this is also, as a fan of comedy, I love stand-up comedy. I'm not a nerd about it, but I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy. I hate when there is an overzealous audience member where even if the comedian is doing what they call crowd work, you telling too much, like you getting too involved. Like, if you want to be the center of attention, if you want to be the star of the show, you need to take your ass to practice and be on the stage. If you are not on the stage, don't try to make yourself part of the show. What is that? Fight those intrusive thoughts. This moment isn't about you. You are in the audience for a reason. Even if they are engaging with you, why are you giving so much more information? They've been done talking to you for like 3 minutes and you're still going on. Cut it out. It makes me hate you. It makes me wish ill upon you, which I immediately take back because, like, I'm a good, quote unquote Christian girl from the South. I don't believe in hating people. But sometimes, my God, this girl just kept, like, and hype your friends. Hype your bestie up, but not right now. That's right. Do it. Da, da, da. Shut up. Shut up before I escort you out. Okay, now I'm a part of the staff. Now I'm making myself part of the staff because you're going to make yourself part of the audience. Shut up. This moment isn't about you. Find your own moment. Okay? Find a moment that actually should be about you where your main character energy is welcome. Okay? My God. So, I have come to realize every few months I reevaluate my values, my personal values. When I got to a place in therapy where I realized how much I had taken on other people's perceptions of me, and I internalized what other people thought of me, and I kind of lost myself in that, trying to prove other people wrong, trying to control what other people thought of me. And once I developed the self-awareness that that was something I was doing, I asked my therapist, like, well, how do I know who I am without other people's projections, without trying to measure up to other people's expectations? How do I know who I am and what I like? And her advice was to write out a list of values. And I Googled like personal values for examples. And every couple of months I revisit it. What do I value right now? Am I living a life that is conducive to those values? Like, are they in alignment? Are my actions in alignment with the things that I say and believe that I value? One that has been a huge part of my life for the past few years is curiosity. I strongly value curiosity in myself, and the people who I enjoy spending the most time with are other people who are curious. And a friend of mine asked a question on Twitter not too long ago of like, where is all the anti-intellectualism coming from? Why are people so anti-literacy? Like, what is this? Why is this happening? And I think that for some reason, I don't know if people don't have the time, if they don't have the interest, if they don't have the resources, I'm not sure, but people are not curious about things anymore. Overwhelmingly, like even in my day job, the way people will come to me and ask me a question that they could have very easily figured out on their own. I don't understand why people abandon the odyssey of discovery. You didn't want to figure that out on your own. Like, why was your first inclination to come to me when there were so many steps in between that? Like, it's like a huge pet peeve of mine to ask me a question that you could very easily Google when I don't have any special knowledge that you wouldn't get beyond Google, right? So, another thing, I think that people aren't curious because people are afraid of what they'll learn. I think, just from my observation as a casual sociologist or anthropologist, right? People who lean more conservative do not have a spirit of curiosity. I think that any information they seek out is information that confirms their world belief. And if they so happen to be out pursuing new information, if it challenges their worldview in any way, they abandon it. They don't pull at that thread. They don't want to know. And I think that a huge one of the things that I've learned recently is that more information can be a salve for anxiety. If you're anxious about something, if you can be curious enough about it to seek out more information about it, then it will kind of help you to not be so anxious about the thing. More information usually helps with anxiety, is something that I'm coming to learn, right? And that means that you need to be somewhat curious about things. You need to be curious about things that offend you. Be curious about the world around you. If I see a word I don't recognize, I Google that word because I want to know what that means. Like, and that seems to be like a rare quality these days. And I just think that people's fear of learning anything different than what they were taught is stopping them from seeking any additional knowledge. And I mean just like you're not curious for fun. Like, you don't see a thing and then say, oh, I wonder why that is. And then, like, follow the trail of like, I just think that people who want to accept the world exactly as it's been given to them are not curious. And I think that overwhelmingly, that is a very conservative kind of mindset to have, is this is how the world is, and I don't want to learn anything that would cause me to deviate from seeing things the way that they're quote unquote supposed to be. And I know that, like, as far as partnership, the next person that I'm with, they have to be a curious person. I want you to be curious about me, because that's another thing. Like, you can tell whether or not a person is genuinely interested in you by how curious they are about you. Do they ask questions about your day, about how you think, about your worldview? If you find yourself constantly talking or asking them questions and they never have a retort or any of it, like they're not curious about you, that person, not to just, paint with a broad brush to say like, oh girl, they hate you. Because I really don't love the they hate you thing. I think that's a really cruel thing to say to someone. But that person might not be interesting. Like, at minimum, aside from whether or not they're interested in you, are they interesting? Like, bitch, you don't ever question nothing. Like, everything just is as it's supposed to be, and that's it. I don't like that. So I think the lack of curiosity goes hand in hand with the conservatism and the anti-intellectualism. It's no, like, don't learn anything, because then you'll start asking questions that we don't want to learn the answer to. I think that's a huge part of why they don't want African American history taught. They're, banning all of these books because it makes people too curious. And if you are curious and asking questions about the world as it is, then you might start taking steps to change things. And the powers that be don't want that. They don't want us to be curious. They don't want us to be smart. They don't want us to question them. They want to be able to do what they want to do in the world unencumbered by legitimate, logical questions. They don't want to have to provide any kind of logic or reason. And if you're not a curious person, you will just accept whatever they give you. So I think that it's actually a form of activism to seek out more information, to learn something, to read a book, even if it's a fictional book. I have learned so many things from TV because I'm a curious person and I love television. If I see something that I'm like, girl, what the hell is that? I want to look into it. Like, there's a certain dish that I can't remember the name of right now, but on like 3 separate television shows, I saw extremely wealthy people having this dish that I think is like illegal for people to eat or something like that. But it's like this whole bird that's like drowned in wine or something like that, right? And you have to eat the bird, like it's like a small bird. You have to eat the whole thing in its entirety. And it's inhumane the way that it's killed. So then it's inhumane to eat it. And people tend to like eat it under like a veil. Like, they'll put like a napkin or something over their faces because it's supposed to like hide your face from God as you're eating this like ill-conceived dish. And apparently it's like very succulent or something like that. And I was like, is this a fucking real thing? That's crazy. It's a real thing. I saw it on TV. I Googled it. I learned about it. It led me to several other things. Like, there's like a world of information out there that you can just learn for fun. Like, how you don't find it fun to just learn some new shit? You don't just want to be a person who's informed? I don't know. That's just something I've been ranting about, a bit. So, ladies, scooch in close, okay? Men, you can listen to, but, I'm here for the girls, the gays, and the days. So if you're a cishet male, this may be relevant to you as well, but let's just get into it. A gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous girl on TikTok made a story time where she wanted to tell us about how a dude flew her out but wasn't really about his money like he said he was. It was giving broke, blah, 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 blah. I was immediately thrown off by the way she described this guy and what made her interested in this guy. So she was just like, he's some fine shit. He seemed like he got motion, like he got money. He got, his own house, everything in his name. And like, it's giving scammer. And I love niggas like that. Like, I love a fine nigga who get money, da, da, da. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna trust the process. I'm along with you. Like, let me hear you out. Cause I too am shallow. I love a hot dude, okay? But I I love a hot dude based on like the face and the outfit. This was interesting to me. I'll say that. I was curious because I'm like, this is some wild shit to say out loud. And my straight male bestie has been telling me for months that like, Jessica, I'm telling you, it's like women out here in the world like this. And I'm like, our age? I thought this girl was in her 20s. Because I'm like, maybe in my 20s, I would have been attracted to that kind of flashiness as well. So she's just telling us how it's just like this hot, young, rich nigga. It seemed like he got all this motion. So they were messaging back and forth on Instagram. And, you know, from what I gathered from the text messages, it was giving, yeah, if you ever in Atlanta, you know, we should link. And she made herself be in Atlanta for them to link. This is Valentine's Day weekend. He tells her, like, I actually have my daughter. So, you know, she gets her own hotel room. They never end up linking. And then it becomes very contentious, especially because she brought the story to social media and made it seem like he didn't want to link up with her because he's actually broke, because he actually didn't have the money to pay for her flight or for her hotel. Now, the story is still developing, okay? We have several new characters that have been introduced. Now, somebody went and told this dude that this girl was making a story time about him. He came out and that he looked like he's like maybe 18 or 19. He said that he's not a young nigga. He's 25, you know. He does get money. Nobody comes before his daughter. He don't really like inviting women into his home like that because he's been robbed before and like people try to set you up. He actually seemed more mature than her. And one of the plot twists for me was that this young lady is 31. I thought she was maybe 21. She's 31. And then scrolling on her page, it looks like she has 3 kids. And I'm just like, I firmly believe mama gotta have fun too. But you met a dude, you came across a dude on Instagram that you thought was fine and almost immediately offered up your throat and your mouth to do several different things. Like the throat spray took me down. The throat spray took me down, but I was just like, off the internet? Like you off the internet and you're not a sex worker? Like off the internet? Just on the strength that he seemed like he got money off the internet? I have questions. So the story is still developing, okay? A couple things that I want to say. I was absolutely floored by how easy this was, or how easy it is for men to attract some women. And this girl, when I say she is beautiful, she is so pretty. She's really, really dark skin, gorgeous skin, just pretty features. She has a nice body. Like, this is a really pretty girl. I saw this dude, and I'm sorry, I'm not saying no, I love everybody. Nobody is ugly, but I was expecting a finer dude. He looks like he's like maybe 18 or 19. So I'm like, that you were attracted to him is interesting, but then it's the things that made the selling point for you was that he looked like a scammer, and that's what you wanted to link with. Now, if you are a sex worker, I fully understand that. Go where you feel like the bag is. But sex workers chime in, let me know, is it smart to take on customers that are scammers? Because does their money like actually come through for that kind of stuff? Slide in the comments, let me know. But I was so stunned by how eager she was to meet this man on the strength of his social media persona. That was horrifying to me. But then it's also, okay, if you're, you know, she kept making a point to say like, you know, she deals with rich men all the time. She deals with, you know, a certain rapper that we listen to all the time. Child, the dude came out and said, baby, don't nobody care about boss man D-Lo. I said, oh my God, this is going to places that I wasn't prepared for. Now new characters have been introduced. Apparently it's a girl that he actually was with. He was not actually with his daughter on Valentine's Day. The girl who he was actually with done slid in. Then another girl has slid into the chat saying that he done bought her Goyard and all kind of stuff. So he not broke, he not da-da-da. Why do you want to be included in this narrative? Why are you jumping into this narrative? So let's zoom out. Let's press pause right there. Let me say this. There is a content creator that I follow. Her name just fell out of my head. But she was a dancer back in like the video vixen days, like the early 2000 days or whatever. So she has lived like the city girl life of you know, you're a dancer, you have like your certain customers, like you make your money, you know, from dudes. You fucked with some celebrities, some ball players, some whatever. And she made a very good point that like you can't be in the game and also telling the game at the same time. And one of the people that she highlighted was like Corinne Stephens. Corinne Stephens was no longer in her superhead era when she wrote her books. Okay? The girls have to decide, do you want the things or do you want the clout from how you get the things? Because if you want to be the type of girl who you get ahead by getting over on men, you get no judgment from me on that. But whatever you do, do it smart. If you are going out and exposing potential suitors or whatever you want to call this on the internet, are you going to get much better than that from other potential suitors? Like, you've already shown that you don't have very much discretion, that your judgment is a bit shaky, and that they can get over on you. You didn't even, like, he didn't even fly you out. So if your attraction was the money, why didn't you make him spend it? Why didn't you make him spend it? Why did you book your own flight and book your own hotel room? Like, what was that? What were we thinking? What was the goal here? Because if the goal was just to have sex, you played that wrong as well. You played that wrong as well. Like, I have so many questions. And the dude was like, what you're really upset about is that you didn't get to link with me and you didn't get to have sex the way that you wanted to have sex. And that additionally had me horrified. Like, we're this pressed for internet sex. You could get internet sex real easy. You ain't got to, like, locally, you ain't got to go nowhere for that if that's what it's about. I think that we are just in an era where people are like figuring themselves out in public, because I'm gonna tell you, the text messages that were exposed, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed and I was triggered because I remember being in my 20s and sending niggas paragraphs thinking that if you say the right thing, it'll make him act right. And it's like, no, that is just who that person is. But that she's still doing that at 31, like, baby, please go talk to the lady, okay? I get that social media makes it such that we're seeing people figure out life in real time, but we don't need to see that. We got to do our goofy bitch things in the privacy of our group chats, okay? That's some shit that you reveal to your friends over a boozy brunch where everybody can laugh about it. This is not an L that you needed to share with us because you wanted to expose this dude for being potentially broke. But what you ended up doing was making yourself look extremely pressed. You looked steamed, pressed. And it's confusing because you are markedly more beautiful than that guy. The confusion. And again, I definitely was punching below my weight in my 20s. But at 31, as a parent, I need you to have a little bit more self-awareness. And you have to decide if you want to be that kind of girl. Do you want the things? Do you want the money, the bags, the trips, the fun things? Or do you want the clout from dealing with these certain types of dudes? Because I don't think that you can have both. You can't expose these dudes and also want to be like in the game. Like, you got to pick one. I don't think you can do that. Like, like homegirl said, you can't be in the game and telling the game at the same time. Build your things up, then come back and tell us your whole stories, right? Like, what we doing? And you're not a hoe for having sex. I don't even really believe that hoes like exist like that. You know what I'm saying? But like, you're coming of age as a woman who is sexually active, who has any expression of sexuality. You got to figure that out. And then circle back and tell us about, your fun, good times. But in real time, the story's still developing. As I'm recording, the story's still developing. Madam, please. What are we doing? What are we doing? What part of the game is this? I am so, like, my secondhand embarrassment for this young lady is on fire. You offered to eat a stranger's booty because he seemed like he had money on Instagram. I give the girl so much grace, but I don't know what to do with it. You have lost me at that. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing at this point, but I want you to choose what your come up is going to be, and I want you to execute it in a way that makes sense and leave us out the chat. Now, we don't like to tear people down over here, so I'm going to offer up some of my own embarrassment a little bit, okay? I was 19 or 20 years old. I know that I was not old enough to drink yet. And I started dating, quote unquote. We was talking, me and this person from back home. And this person was in the music industry, at least tangentially. But they were in the music industry. And it was somebody that I had like known or come across a lot. But, you know, we ran into each other while I was in college, and it was like, oh, we should link. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I was home for the summer. We went on a couple of dates, So over the course of us talking, it had been, let's say, like 2 or 3 weeks we had been talking. I am very young. This person is like, they were 21. He was 21, but I wasn't yet, right? So we were, you know, like in the same like generation. You know, there wasn't like a huge age gap, but to give us both some grace, we were both young. So, you know, when you first start talking to somebody, it's honeymoon phase. Y'all talking all the time. You want to see each other all the time, Now, me and this person never slept together. We never had sex. I was in my era where I was just like, oh, I want him to really like me, so I'm going to make him wait for it. Now, as a 37-year-old woman, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. You could have sex with someone day one and go on to have like a year-long relationship with them. You could, quote unquote, make somebody wait for, 90 days, and then they end up still ghosting you. It's a crapshoot. You just got to fuck around and find out. But at the time I was so young, I'm thinking like, oh, I want him to take me seriously, so I'm not going to sleep with him. Like, okay. So we're just so into each other, and by like week 3, he has to fly to LA for the BET Awards. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, like I have flight benefits. Like I can fly out there. Like I can meet you out there because my mom retired from Delta. So he like, oh, okay, cool. So I flew myself out, but it was for free because flight benefits. So it was for free. The record label was already paying for like his room or whatever. And, you know, his manager was going to see if he could get, you know, me a ticket to go to the BET Awards with him. So I'm like so excited. I done went to BB and got like the hottest bandage dress they had to offer. Okay. I was a BB warrior. Let me tell you, I had every color shirt, every one in rhinestone shirts. I had every color. I had every fabric. Like I had a stellar collection. Where they are now, who can say? Plato's Closet, all kinds of things. Sometimes I think about bringing the BB rhinestone back, but I ran out to BB at Lenox Square and got like, it was so cute actually. Like if I could, I would wear it to this day. I wonder where it is, but it was like kind of like a bustier type. It was like very cinched at the waist. It was satin. It was black. It had like a high split in the back. It was like, it was giving. Oh, and then the sleeves of it were like gold chain. It was a dress. Like I was prepared. Okay. You tell me that I might can go somewhere, baby. I'm ready. Okay. I got my bag packed. Okay. I had my little sew-in, girl. Let me tell you something. I was ready. So we get to LA. He picks me up. Him and his manager pick me up. He has to go to the studio. So the manager takes me to lunch. And, it was a good time. I ended up not going to the BET Awards. He just like gave me some money to like, go shopping or, whatever, entertain myself while he was gone. Now, again, I did not have sex with this person. We were just getting to know each other. So we go to the studio. He is producing a song for this girl group that I wonder what happened to them girls all the time. They were so talented, and I just wonder what happened to them often. They could walk in here right now. I would have no idea who they were. Like, they were really charismatic, very sweet girls. So these girls asked me, like, oh, are you his girlfriend? And I say, no, because I wasn't. In my young mind as well, if you say that somebody is your boyfriend before they have asked you to be their boyfriend, that's like a cardinal sin. Like, he gonna hate me if I, like, let me make it very clear. Like, oh, no, we're just friends. I'm thinking that I'm doing, like, the responsible thing. Like, I don't want to jump the gun or nothing like that. We've only been talking for like 2 or 3 weeks. So you know, the trip was fine. Again, we did not have sex. So imagine my surprise when I get back to Atlanta and this man will not talk to me. Like, he completely cut me off. And I'm like, is it because I didn't have sex with him? In my mind, like, that's what me and my friends concluded. Like, oh, you know, he's in the music industry. He expects, you know, certain kind of thing. And then you flew out there, so he was expecting da-da-da. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I misread that, you know, completely. So this man literally would not text me back, wouldn't call me. It was just, that was it. And we ran into him at Club Crucial. And I will never forget, one of my friends told me that I was rude because I didn't speak to him. And I'm like, he's not rude for like cutting me off and like basically ghosting me after like a 3-day trip together. Like, what type of time is you on? Like, hello. She went on to be a goofy person in our lives. That's another story for another day. So one of my friends like, I'm gonna find out what happened. Y'all will never guess why this man stopped talking to me. This man cut me off because he felt like I made him look gay to these girls. And I was like, explain this to me like I'm 5. What are you talking about? So basically, when they asked if I was his girlfriend, he wanted me to tell them that I was, because, you know, already like what I do, people assume that I'm gay, and I always have to like defend my sexuality to people. So when they asked you, you done flew out here to like kick it with me, and they ask you, you know, if we go together, you made it seem like I'm gay. Sir, I don't think that has anything to do with me. What? It was such goofy bitch behavior on his part. And to this cardinal rule, if it's a fly out situation, number one, have your own money, which I did. Okay, which I did. Have your own money, but also they need to pay for it. They need to pay for your flight. Don't ever do oh, I'll pay you back. Da, da, da. Nope. If this gonna be that type of time, then pay for my flight, and expectations need to be very clear. Now, as a 37-year-old lady, I don't really want to fly out to kick it with somebody on a trip that I'm not intimately related with, right? Most people have that expectation. That needs to be explicitly clear before you take your ass out there, before they take their ass to you, because you might be flying people out. I don't know your life, I don't know your money, right? But money up front. Let's just put it like that. Money up front, expectations up front, communication is key. It was one of the goofiest experiences of my whole life. Like, so you cut me off because, bro, you could have prepared me. You could have warned me. You could have told me like, hey, this is the, I would have gladly lied. Especially back then, I was so thirsty to have a boyfriend. I would have been like, yeah, girl, we go together. We've been together for like, you know, I met his, but bitch, I would have, the lies I would have told, okay, I would have spun a story so good. Shh, listen, you could just clue me in. I didn't know we was on that type of time. I didn't know I needed to lie for you. I totally would have. But then it's also like, I think you might just be insecure about your sexuality, sweetie, because I don't think anybody was thinking that about you but you. Who can say? So, moving right along to my frustration with my sisters in Christ, my people. One of my favorite content creators, Drew Afuelo, she is a gorgeous Samoan girl. She makes content, pop culture content, mostly just like shooting the shit, but everything is through like a very like anti-patriarchal lens. So, you know, that's my whole jam right there, right? Love her down. So Drew has her own podcast. She has like a huge TikTok following. The way that I came to know her is she was doing these absolute fucking takedowns of men who were really mean to her in her comments. Like, the girl can read. Like, hello. I admire people who are smart and witty enough to read a bitch for filth. Like, she was tearing these men apart because they would come for her looks and the fact that, like, she just isn't, you know, male-centered. And we love that. She is, I think, maybe like 10 years younger than me, but rooting for her. Now, the other thing is Drew is very feminist, very, like I said, anti-patriarchy, very not male-centered, and she has a partner who, from our perspective, from what she shared with us, seems like a very good, wholesome, cool, hot guy, right? One of the main stories that she tells, like when they first started dating, like one of the first gifts that he gave her is that he paid for her nails to be done for a whole year. Like researched her nail tag, asked like the average price for like each, set, how often she comes, tip included. Like it was just this huge gesture. If you are a girl who loves nails, that's a huge fucking gesture. Like the energy that it takes to learn that about a person and to facilitate that, that's a huge, beautiful step. I was just rooting for her, love that for her, right? On Valentine's Day, someone posted a 3-year-old clip of Drew on an interview where she was saying, for my friends who are single and they'll come to me about like how unhappy they are being single, I always tell them that it's really important to love yourself. That's where the video cut off. The rest of it was very sound advice. It is important to love yourself, especially in pursuit of romantic partnership. People heard that and absolutely hated it, and people were just like, it became this huge controversy. Now, as a girl who has been single most of my life, I maintain that I have never dated anyone in my life. Is that a lie? Yes. Am I gonna run with it? Absolutely. Okay, but I've been single more than I've been partnered. I understand how triggering it is for people to tell you as a single woman that you need to be doing something else or something differently or something better to earn the reward of partnership. Partnership is not a reward. It is a thing that just happens for some people. And overwhelmingly, I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people. I love a lot of people. A lot of the people who I love are married. I also know a lot of people who are happy. Not all of the people who I know who are married are happy. Not all the people who I know who are partnered are happy. And my mom and my aunties always said, baby, you can get married when you can't get nothing else. You can get a man when you can't get nothing else. So I want to be very clear that loving yourself, being in therapy, working on yourself, having self-awareness, all of those things are not a prerequisite for partnership. You don't have to do any self-work. You can be the worst version of yourself. Some of the worst people you know in life are married, okay? So being a good person is not a prerequisite for partnership. We know that. But I will say that if you are a cis-het woman, and this applies for everyone, but I'm speaking specifically from my vantage point and to the people who look and live like me, it is so deeply important to like and love yourself in pursuit of romantic partnership. Because if you don't like yourself, you will have no standards and you will accept any person who will have you. That makes for a miserable relationship and a miserable life. If you don't know yourself, if you do not have boundaries, if you do not value yourself, if you are the kind of woman who leans into what patriarchy has taught us, which is that a man's opinion of you is more important than your opinion of you, you are setting yourself up for a misery that is known to a lot of people, but that still absolutely wrecks people, like to this day. Like, you're rarely going to tell anybody a romantic, a story about a romantic relationship that didn't work out that they haven't heard before. Like, rarely, if ever. Like, people have been struggling with partnerships since the dawn of time, right? But I can tell you from what I know, I did not start to feel good about being single until I started to genuinely validate myself and my existence. For a long time, especially in my 20s, I looked to partnership to validate me, to make me whole. That's something that we are taught in church that I think is incredibly harmful, is that you're not a whole person until you meet your mate. I bought into that so hard, and I walked around so unhappy and feeling like such a failure and feeling like I wasn't good enough as a woman because I had not found partnership. I had not found someone who wanted to commit to me. And instead of just saying, like, oh, this person isn't it for me, I kept trying to get this person to choose me for like for a crazy amount of time. And looking back at that person back then and looking at myself back then, it's like, baby, what you was doing? What you was doing? You was so pretty. You ain't, he didn't even have a car. He didn't even have a job for a while. What you was doing? Okay. And what I was doing was being depressed and having suicidal ideations. Okay. So genuinely, if you are a person who desires romantic partnership, you do need to love yourself. That is not bad advice. You can have a relationship. You can find a man who will have you, but if you want to be happy and fulfilled in yourself and with someone, the self-love is key. It just is. It is a prerequisite for life, period. But especially if you want to try to do life with someone else, especially as a woman, you do not want to run up on a man who does not like or love himself and who is trying to validate himself through his treatment of you. Horrible, horrible mistake. And a lot of people are like, it's so shitty of you, Drew, to tell us that we need to love ourselves on Valentine's Day when you have this perfect relationship. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. First of all, she didn't put that content out on that day. That's number one. Number two, sometimes you do just want to wallow. Sometimes it just sucks to be single. I ain't gonna hold you. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you have a really great day and you come home and you're like, wow, I wish I had somebody to share this with. I ain't gonna hold you. That's really hard. Okay. Romantic love is external, self love is internal. You can't swap them out, they are not interchangeable at all. I'm not going to tell you that it is not sometimes so hard and sad. Like, I definitely have moments where I feel sad or I feel lonely or alone, or sometimes like I even feel like forgotten by my friends who are partnered, who are married, who are like working on baby number two. There are those moments, but overwhelmingly, those moments pass when I realize the gratitude that I have of having myself. Like, when you make a deal with yourself not to abandon yourself, to always choose you, even if someone else doesn't, that's when things really shift. You have to, loving and liking yourself gives you agency in your life, it gives you agency in your relationships. If you know how to validate yourself, you're not gonna stick around for nobody to like drag you through the mud. Okay, you can even be a person who loves themselves and partner with another person who loves their self, and y'all get together and it doesn't work out, because romantic partnership is so much about timing and luck. It's just, it just happens for some people when it happens. But if you don't like yourself or love yourself while you're waiting for that to happen, and not waiting like you're on the sidelines of life, like I can't do anything until I find this person, but you know, in the interim time between like when that happens, you're going to be so miserable and you're going to just accept whatever you can find if you don't genuinely just like you. It's just, it won't work out like that. It wasn't bad advice. It might suck to sometimes hear, but it's not wrong. I don't think that she was wrong, and I was devastated at the way people like came at her, and I mostly saw Black girls coming at her about this as if like she said something truly wrong. But like, wherever you are in your life, please love yourself. Like, I'm not saying that it's the end all be all. There are no gods, there are no gurus. There is no one thing that's going to make life markedly easier for you than for the other person. Like, life just involves like more nuance than that. But the main thing that you can do, you are the person who you have to go through life with the most at all times. You do need to be locked in with you. And overwhelmingly, the people that I see on social media who are so distraught over being single, sometimes it does come off as it seems like there is something that you could be doing to make this experience better for yourself, that you could be doing something to make your single life better. Not there's something that you should be doing to attract a partner, but to get in deeper intimacy with yourself. And another girl made a video too where she was just like, sometimes people are telling you that because you are miserable. There are some women who I know who, when they are not partnered, they're just not nice people. They really, a huge part of their identity is being in partnership with somebody. And when things aren't working out for them, they're horrible to the people around them. It's a thing. So sometimes people giving you the advice that, like, in the interim, just, lock in with you, da da da. Sometimes people aren't telling you that so that it will attract a partner. Sometimes people are telling you to like and love yourself because by yourself, you're miserable. You are a miserable person. It's not just, oh, I'm longing for this. It's one thing to long for a romantic partnership and another thing to be desperate for it. And people who are desperate for that are miserable to be around. So it might not be what you think it is, but I was really disappointed to see how people were coming at Drew. Again, like, none of these content creators are perfect. They're always, at some point probably going to say something that disappoints you or lets you down. Like, I mean, even, celebrities who we all love, like, nobody is going to be 100% in alignment with you or never going to say something that might disappoint you. Like, I'm sure over the course of the 10 years that I've been making content, I've said some shit that have probably rubbed people the wrong way. I've gone back and read things that I've written when I was at a different place in life and was like, girl, what was you talking about? Because I dead ass used to really believe that, like, a woman was supposed to submit to a man. What? That's crazy to think that I used to believe that. At 37, I can look at my 20-something self and be like, oh, sweetie, you have so much to learn. Right? So it's okay to be disappointed in a content creator, but we have to handle people with care. Like, especially women who are like for other women. Like, her whole brand is about encouraging and supporting and entertaining women. We have to hold each other with a little bit more grace and compassion than what I saw her experiencing. Like, let's be reasonable here, people. Okay. So that's going to be it for this week's episode. Oh, let me tell y'all, if y'all have not tapped into Paradise on Hulu, tap into Paradise on Hulu. That show is so good. Sterling K. Brown is doing his thing. I would watch James Marsden read a Cheesecake Factory menu. I love that man. Also, White Lotus has come back. I am about to go to dinner. As soon as I get home from dinner, I'm going to be locked in. I cannot wait to see who got killed. I have a theory, okay? I think that it's either that husband, Draco Malfoy. I think that husband is either going to become a family annihilator where, like, he is in financial or legal trouble and he going to go crazy and shoot everybody. Or I did see a very, very probable outcome on Twitter where somebody said they think that one of the monkeys got a gun and just went crazy shooting everybody. And that actually makes a lot of sense because the White Lotus murders are always ridiculous. It's not usually a whole lot of like logic to it. It's just like some random shit happens. So I think that might actually be more likely, but I'm locked into this season. A lot of people agree that season 2 was better than season 1. I don't like to compare in that way because I think that series need time to find their sea legs, right? I think that season 1, they figured out what worked and what didn't work. So obviously the subsequent season, would be better. So I'm hoping that this one far exceeds our expectations. Them 3 friends, something gonna happen now. I don't know when I'm gonna die, but them 3 friends, the passive aggressive, just the anger and the rage bubbling under all the compliments is so like peak white woman. I can't even. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm doing. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe and rate and review and join my Patreon. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.